Welcome to TV Africa News. This is Africa Today. My name is Najuma Luima, but first are the headlines. Ethiopian Prime Minister orders troops to move on to Tigray capital. Uganda-Tanzania pipeline runs into illegal challenges. Football legend Diego Maradona dies at the age of 60 years. West Nile turns into a desert. Now the news in detail. The Democratic Party president candidate Norbert Mao has cautioned the Acholi people against voting for a younger and inexperienced person to lead the country in the coming presidential elections. Mao was speaking to supporters at rallies held at Pabo and Amuru Town Council in Amuru district. Without referring to anyone in particular, Mao said it will be unfortunate for Ugandans to vote a youthful candidate, since Uganda at the moment requires a leader who is mature and experienced to correct the mess that the country is currently submerged in. Half of those running for president are youths. Uganda is so messed up that it needs only mature and experienced leaders to push it forward. Let us not vote raw leaders. It is good that you listen to these young leaders, but we first need to groom them because they are still raw, Mao said. Moving on, community reliance on charcoal and firewood for cooking, besides illegal logging, is turning West Nile region into a desert. Civil society organizations have warned. The CSOs have revealed that many natural forests have been depleted for both domestic and commercial purposes, leaving most surfaces bare. The chairman, Northern Albertine Sustainable Energy Network, Mr. William Amanzuru, said it has become a norm for people to cut trees for various lucrative businesses. Every day, trucks drive out of West Nile region with logs, charcoal and firewood at will. We have become enemies of those who think that business is good for them, and we are saboteurs. We want talk, he said. According to the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development 2018 report, the primary source of energy in West Nile sub-region is firewood and fuel, accounting to 85%. About 62% of the household use electricity for lighting, while solar lighting accounts for 81%. Moving on to Ethiopia, Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has ordered the army to launch the final offensive against descendant Tigray authorities in Mekele, the capital of the northern region. Abiy Ahmed wrote on his Facebook account saying that the army has been ordered to carry out the last phase of the operation, which began on November 4th against the descendant leaders of the Tigray People's Liberation Front. Abiy further promised not to cause serious damage to the city and that the army will protect civilians. This comes after the 3-day surrender ultimatum came to an end yesterday. Abiy Ahmed had also called for non-interference from external parties, as he termed this as Ethiopia's internal affair. Thousands of people are already believed to have died, and there has been widespread destruction from aerial bombardment and ground fighting since the war began on November 4th. Around 42,000 refugees have fled over the border to Sudan. TPLF rockets have hit neighboring Eritrea. In our business news today, 4 non-government organizations have moved to East African Court of Justice to block the construction of the East African crude oil pipeline by Uganda and Tanzania. The 4 NGOs, which include the Center for Food and Adequate Living Rights Limited and the Africa Institute for Energy Governance, both based in Kampala, the Nairobi-based Natural Justice Kenya, and the Center for Strategic Litigation Limited, based in Zanzibar, want construction of the pipeline stopped until the matter his art and determined. In the case filed on November 6th, through the Kampala-based MS Semuyeba Igand company advocates, together with Dalumba advocates, the applicants are seeking orders against both Uganda and Tanzania to ensure that, prior to any similar project, the following are conducted: climate change impact assessment, human rights impact assessment, and meaningful, effective, and transparent public consultations, ensuring robust community and broad public participation. The NGOs are now seeking a permanent injunction against Uganda, Tanzania, and EAC, whom they have sued for constructing the pipeline through protected areas, among other orders. The pipeline will transport crude oil from Hoima district in Uganda to Chongolein in Tanga, Tanzania. Let's take a very quick short break. We will be right back. In our health news today, Africa has surpassed 2 million confirmed coronavirus cases as the continent's top public health official warned that the continent is inevitably edging toward a second wave of infections. The Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention say the 54-nation continent had crossed the milestone. Africa has seen more than 48,000 deaths from COVID-19. Its infections and deaths make up less than 4% of the global total. The African continent of 1.3 billion people is being warned against the prevention fatigue as countries loosen pandemic restrictions to ease their economies suffering and more people to travel. In our sports news today, Diego Maradona, the Argentina soccer great, who was among the best players ever and who led his country to the 1986 World Cup title, has died aged 60 years. The office of Argentina's president has declared 3 days of national mourning following Maradona's death, which occurred yesterday, and the Argentina Soccer Association expressed its sorrow on Twitter. Maradona died 2 weeks after being released from Buenos Aires Hospital following brain surgery. Famed of the head of gold goal in which he punched the ball into England's net during the 1986 World Cup quarterfinals, Maradona captivated fans over a 2-decade career with a bewitching style of play that was all his own. Now, before we end our news bulletin, let's have a recap of our top stories. Ethiopian Prime Minister orders troops to move on to Tigray capital. Uganda-Tanzania pipeline runs into illegal challenges. Football legend Diego Maradona dies at the age of 60 years. West Nile turns into a desert. That was the news on TV Africa. Please stay tuned. More programming coming your way.